Hello. Welcome to Triple Goddess. If you are there, do say hello in the comments so that I can be polite and mind my manners. And say hello to you all. Give it a few minutes for people to find us, and then I'm going to be talking about my new book, but also about the Triple Goddess. And at some point, there will be a book giveaway. Hurrah! Quite randomly. I shall pick at random. Hello, Green Labyrinth. Hi, Sue. Hi, Helen. Hi, Luna. Good evening. Welcome to All Things Triple Goddess. And Eric's asleep on the bed, just in case you wondered. Oh, no, he's looking at me. There's eyes watching me. Hi, Heather. Oh, hello, husband, who's looking at me from the other side of the table. Hi, Elizabeth. Hi, Dana. No, there's doggy eyes watching me from the bed. It's like, I'm not supposed to be up here at this time of the evening. What's going on? Sorry. You can go to bed properly soon. Hi, Karen. Hi, Maria. Welcome. Hi, Jenny. Hi, Nikki. Oh, lots of lovely people. Thank you so much for joining me. Hi, Trevor. Hi, Melanie. Maria's put me on the big screen. Don't do that, Maria. No, not enough makeup for being on the big screen. Makes me feel all self-conscious. Look. Hi, Jay. Welcome to the next hour of the Triple Goddess. One of my favourite subjects. I find it absolutely fascinating, and I'm very excited to share everything with you. Hi, Laura. Hi, Daniela. If there are any questions as I'm doing my waffle. Hi, Xenia. As always, please type. Hi, Leslie Ann. If there are any questions, do type them in the comments as we go along, and I will do my very best to answer them. And of course, if you've got any insights or thoughts, pop them out there too. Maria says, is it okay to share the page? Absolutely, Maria. Thank you very much. So yes, thoughts, insights, comments, questions as we go along, all very welcome. You know how it works with me. Throw it all in there and we'll see where we go with it. Despite, contrary, I do have notes. I don't often actually stick to them, but I do have them. I just like to see where it takes us because it makes it more interesting. So, a question already. Nikki says, who is the picture behind me? Let's start with that one. That's an easy one. This one here. This is Sulis. It is the goddess Sulis, and it's drawn by the lovely Naomi from Nomart, NOMEART.com. Fantastic artwork. This is the goddess Sulis who resides at the Baths in Bath in Somerset. She is my goddess of choice at the moment, or perhaps she chose me. Probably more likely that way around. I've been working with her for a couple of years now. So she's watching over me. Hi, Stacey. So we're here this evening for this little treasure. Make sure I get it in the camera. Pagan Portals Triple Goddess, published by the Fantastic Moon Books, and part of their Pagan Portals range. If you've not heard of the Pagan Portals range, do go over to the Moon Books website and have a look. There's a whole range by a whole host of authors about fascinating subjects, all different pagan subjects, goddesses, gods, all different pathways. Brilliant series. Nice books because they're not too heavy going and they give you kind of a introduction, delving into the subject. A big thank you to my beautiful daughter Emma, who drew the artwork. What I've tried to do with this book, and I had a signed contract for this for probably about 4 years before I actually got anywhere near finishing the manuscript, because I wasn't sure where I wanted to take it, and I kept writing, going back to it, scrubbing it all out, starting again. What I wanted to do was dispel some of the myths about the triple goddess and where she came from, but also to give it a way of working in today's modern world. Because, life changes, things change, and I wanted to give her an outlet for us to work with in modern times. So, of course, I was looking for a triple goddess picture, and when you type in triple goddess to the internet, you get Greek ladies with togas. And I wanted something more modern. So my daughter drew her interpretation of the triple goddess, and I'm quite taken with the pink hair, must admit. So this is what I'm going to talk about today, is the triple goddess. Oh, I've missed some hellos. Hi, Antoinette. I'm both on Facebook and YouTube. Yes, there's no escape today. Hi, Jackie. Hi, Penny Sue. Hi, Cami. Hi, Ellery. Hi, Leslie. Xenia. Here we go. Will you be talking about the queen aspect? Because some women don't identify with the mother symbolism, don't have the nurturing gene, and I also see creativity a bit different from giving. I'm going to cover that totally, Xenia. I am absolutely going to cover that. I have options. Options for you all. Options for you all. Antoinette says, very much enjoying Witchcraft in the Wilds. Excellent. Good. That's one of my favourite books to write, that one. Good evening, Jane. Rainbird says, pink hair is my everyday hairstyle. I have had pink hair, yeah. Hi, Renee. So let's have a look. So I'm sure if you've done any kind of delving into paganism, you'll have come across the term the triple goddess. It follows the idea that the goddess has three facets: the maiden, the mother, the crone. She represents many things: birth, life, death and rebirth, phases of the moon. Obviously, the triple moon symbol resonates with her. Waxing, full moon, waning, representing maiden, mother, crone. I think it is something that we're probably all familiar with. Whether everyone works with it or not, a bit different. I think it is a wonderful way of working with the goddess and her phases to help us to evolve, to help us to understand our own pathway through life, because boy, do we need help with that. And I think this journey can also help you embrace your own personal power in those different phases as well. Now, in the book, I have explored some of the myths, the history, the meanings. I have presented you with my own personal views as well, but I've also used information that I've found in my researches, so you can basically come to your own conclusion. My primary focus for the book was you to find your own pathway and walk a personal journey with the triple goddess in a way that suits you. Hopefully, I have provided you with the beginning of a path for you to follow. Hi, Courtney. Hi, Andrea. So, in some of the writings and explanations, the goddess appears in the three stages: young maiden, middle-aged mother, and an elderly but wise crone. I want to put you the suggestion. Oh, I need some new teeth for a start, or coffee, or it's a bit late for coffee, isn't it? Rum or something. I would like to put the suggestion to you that they weren't always set in those kind of generations. In some cases, perhaps sisters of very similar ages, all three as maidens, all three as crones. And of course, there's also the idea of having all of those three phases within the one single goddess. I also like to personally add in a fourth one, not because I like to be awkward, although I do, I'm very good at being awkward, but I like to put a fourth phase in between the mother and the crone. I call her the matriarch. You could call her the queen. You could call her all sorts of things. For me, the matriarch fits the kind of slot. So you would have the maiden, the mother, the matriarch, the crone. I think in today's modern age, the gap between mother and crone is too big, far too big. I'm personally in the matriarch stage now. I'm definitely not crone material. Jackie suggested I could have rum in my coffee. Nice thinking. I like it. Good evening, Ness. So I think you need to lose the labels for a start. I think it takes a little bit of thinking outside the box. There are some hang-ups. Some people do struggle with the labels. And let's be honest, they are just labels. Throw them aside. You don't have to go with those, because mother in particular leans toward the idea that every woman must become a mother at some point. And we know that's absolute tosh, obviously. Not everyone wants to be a mother. Not everyone can be a mother. So I think it takes a bit of thinking outside the box and thinking about the actual phase and the characteristics and the energy of that phase and what it conveys, rather than the title. So I'm going to ask you to throw those titles out of the window if they don't suit you. I think the names are actually a bit irrelevant. It's the meaning of working with the goddess in the different forms that's important. It's about delving into your own spirit and soul that matters. We get a bit hung up, I think, on labels and putting people into little individual boxes. So I'm going to ask you to, move aside from those labels and invite you to see your own reflection. See the reflection in the stories that the goddess brings, which parts relate to you and your own life story. And for me, that's what working with the triple goddess is. I would also, don't get hung up about gender. The goddess is feminine. She is feminine. She is portrayed as divine feminine. My personal belief is that she is a she. She is a strong feminine life force, but she has masculine energies too. I work with her as the feminine and I balance her with the god as masculine, but that's my personal choice. I'm a proud woman and I feel honoured to be a mother, but that isn't going to be the case for everyone. You must work with this in a way that you feel comfortable. Just look at the phases as reflections of yourself and your own life. You don't have to slot them into any kind of box. You don't have to give them a label. You don't have to give them a gender. Just work with the energy so that it helps you with the aspects of your life. There are masculine and feminine energies in all of us. They are opposing. They are complementary. They are balancing. And the dog is grumbling. So I think this is literally, let's throw all of this stuff out of the window and work with it in a way that works for us. Jackie says, I think I would be the additional one too. I'm 49.5 years. That's very, very mathematical. Yes, Annie loves the matriarch. Mal says matron, same as matriarch or crone. I think it's up to you, matron. That does sound quite elderly, doesn't it? Perhaps in that slot between the two. Green likes the idea of matriarch. I feel often caught between mother and crone. It's quite a big gap, isn't it? It's a bizarre phase where I'm not quite either. Yes, still a mother, but I have some days I'm phasing into a wiser aspect of my life too. I'm an older mother too. Green. I'm 53. And whilst our eldest has flown the nest, our youngest is still home and he's at school, although he is 16 now. So I am still a mother with a child at home to care for, but he's kind of fairly self-sufficient unless you need him to do anything practical, then that's not going to happen. But so yeah, I've still got that mother kind of energy, but I'm gaining back my independence and sort of branching out to do things for me now. Things I've got a bit more time and a bit more space to do things for me. But I wouldn't put myself in the crone category at all, not for a very long while yet. So yeah, it needs that extra one for me. Does need that extra one for me. Maria says, I always feel there's more than 3 stages. Yeah, it is that slot, isn't it, after the mother one? Jackie says, I'm an adopted mum, so not quite fits in. But I think this is it, isn't it? I think we do kind of struggle, particularly with that mother one. So you need to kind of get rid of that label and think about the actual characteristics and the energy of that phase rather than the whole giving birth thing. Xenia says, I'm no mum at all and don't feel like one. Don't let me care for other beings or plants. I'm not very good with house plants. I'm all right with outside plants. Xenia says, Eric lives the queen aspect. Well, this is it too. If you haven't got children, you may have pets. So you are, I think for me, the mother kind of slot is a lot of responsibility. So if you care for cats, dogs, rabbits, piranhas, pythons, whatever it is you might have, if you are caring for some other animal, some other being, then you take on that responsibility aspect of the mother. But it also covers giving birth to other things, not actually physically giving birth, but giving birth to ideas, to projects. If you run your own business, you're in that kind of mother energy because you are giving birth to your business and then you're nurturing it. So it is about thinking a little bit outside of that stereotypical mother kind of idea. Pushing outside of it, really. Xenia, I like the Trinity, the matron. That they're appearing in our new Ancient Goddesses of Britain course. They are fascinating, absolutely fascinating. Worshipped before the Roman times as well, Xenia. Good question, Luna. How would you know that you've reached Crone? I know it's not by age or whether you've gone through. Well, this is the thing, isn't it? I have seen the idea that you are the maiden until you start your periods, which seems ridiculous to me because some people start their periods at sort of age 9 or 10 even. You can't move into the mother stage at that sort of age. And I've also seen the idea that you become a crone when you come through the menopause. Perimenopause here for the last 6 years. So it's a long way off for me yet. I think you could base it on your body and the changes that your body are making. But I think it's individual. I think it's very personal. I think it's down to the actual person that is working with it. You know when you're ready. You know when you feel you're ready to move into the next stage. There is no list. There is no chart that says, right, yes, you're a maiden today, but tomorrow you'll be a mother. No, I think it has to be a very, very personal thing. Very personal thing. Yes, Heather prefers matriarch, otherwise think of Carry On Matron. If you're young, look up the Carry On films. Renee says, I'm 48 and had a hysterectomy. Definitely don't feel like a crone or a mother. Yeah, there's that. There's too much in between, isn't there? So I think matriarch or queen is another one, if you want to call it, is that in between stage. Cheryl is 50 and feels like I'm transitioning into the crone. It's a personal journey. You know that your time will be right to move in. Leslie Ann says we're all so young. We're as young as we feel, Leslie Ann, aren't we? Definitely. Good evening, Christine. Nikki says, it's like you're on parole, nearly free, but not quite. Absolutely. 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 Hi, Ina. Wanted for my baby to move on for ages. She has, and I've been lost for 2 years. Yeah, it's funny, isn't it, when your children actually do move out? You get a spare bedroom. You can do whatever you want with it. Andrea, I'm an older mother, so I felt a gap between maiden and mother, so did not feel either one or the other. I think it is such a personal journey, and we all take these different steps. Jenny, I like 5 stages. I have mentioned more stages in the book. There is a chapter in the book called The Rest of the Band, which is where I do add some other ones in. But maiden, lover, mother, queen, and crone. It's perfect, isn't it? It's going to work for different people. Jenny is at the queen stage. Yep, I'm there with you. For it's about my sovereignty, and I think that we can move through them, perhaps not in a linear pattern, but how we feel drawn. That's the other thing, isn't it? It doesn't matter what age you are. You can work with any of the phases. You don't need to be a teenager to work with the maiden. You don't need to be a wise old woman to work with the crone. Any age, any gender, any size, any shape, any color, any design, you can work with any phase of the goddess. You don't have to be slotted into any category to actually work with those different stages. They all have different benefits. And I think, yes, you're right, Jenny. It's not linear, is it? You can jump about between those stages. Antoinette says you could liken mother energy to queen's energy in tarot. Yes, you could. Absolutely. Absolutely. Equally, some see it as a knowledge stage. If you start your craft, regardless of age, you're often seen as a maiden. Yes, well, I mean, we're all still learning, aren't we? Even gazillion years of being in the craft, I'm still learning. So absolutely. Ness says, Crone seems to me like a wise woman, but I'm always learning. It could be a way off. Yeah, some days I feel like I'm further away than others. But yes. Yeah, no, Anne said, bless you. 69 had no menopause or into cancer. It's different for every person, isn't it? And we don't all go through those biological things at certain dates, if at all, in some cases. So I think it really has to be very, very personal. I did actually, I put out the question when I was originally writing the manuscript. I put the question to a group of pagans to what titles they would call Maiden Mother Crone. And this, I actually put, and I'll read it to you, the names give us very fixed ideas on female roles. So my question is, if you were to call the different phases by other names, what would you call them? And it was really, really interesting. It sparked a fascinating discussion. There were one or two people that reacted really strongly to the mother label, the inference being that it doesn't fit in current times, as some women choose to be child-free. And I absolutely understand the choice not to have children. I really do. I believe it is every person's right to make that decision. But as a mother myself, I'm very proud to bear that title, as are many other mothers and grandmothers. So I don't want to dismiss the mother name because it's hugely important to a vast amount of people. But if it doesn't work for you, absolutely give that phase a different name. Just, it is a label. I know I keep harping on about it, but it is just a label. So I think you have to kind of make it work for you. A couple of people also put forward that they didn't like the idea of crone either, that it wasn't a relevant word in today's day and age. I think perhaps that because it's been given a bit of bad press, it does come under the whole Hollywood Disney hag idea, doesn't it? I think we just need to reclaim it. I think it's just had bad press. We need to reclaim that name, Crone. It is a wise woman. It's an elder. An elder would be a good replacement for it if you don't like that. But I will read some of them that I got for you because some of them are really good. The straightforward one: youth, maturity, and old age. Youth, experience, wisdom. Sister, creator, and elder. And of course, you could work with the 4 seasons: spring, summer, autumn, winter. And that fits with the maiden, mother, matriarch, crone. That, for me, sits quite well because that seems to work with the whole turning of the year as well. There is warrior, protector, nurturer, elder. Student, teacher, wise one, protector. So there was lots and lots of suggestions, and they were all brilliant. There were a couple that I'm not sure whether they were actually said in jest, but they are my favourites. Knows nout, knows little, and should know better. And student, quaffing, and I ain't dead. And if you're a Terry Pratchett fan, that last one will be one of your favourites. So I think it is absolutely okay to give it your own names, your own terms. It has to work for you. Absolutely has to work for you. Christine says, I feel as though I've always been a crone. I seem to be the one everyone comes to for problem solving since I was quite young. You've obviously got a lot of the crone energy in you. Absolutely. Yes, brilliant. Illyria, I hadn't. Yes, that's perfect. To me, mother is important, as we all come from the mother goddess. Karen says, I don't mind being a crone. I think it is about embracing it, isn't it? Once you have realised you're in that stage, embrace it. Yes, Evie, we have to reclaim the crone, I'm sure. Melody, postmenopausal, but don't feel ready to become a crone yet. I think taking on that crone mantle is quite a responsibility. So you do have to absolutely be ready for it. So yes, the queen, the matriarch, it fits nicely in that slot. Xenia likes the sister, creator, elder trinity. Yeah, there are lots of different names that you can give them that will work for you. Nikki likes the seasons. I do. I think the seasons fit very nicely. Hi, Willow Moon. Think mother's phrase comes from people other than mothers. Yes, aunties, family, friends, grandmothers, great aunts. It isn't age dependent. No, not at all. Luna says the witch at the bottom of the screen is a crone. Yes, this one. She is definitely a crone. Maria, perhaps the crone stage is when you feel the most content within yourself. Yeah, I think once you get to that matriarch queen stage, you've got a lot of that. You start to feel confident in yourself. You are not so much bothered by what other people say or think. You are happy in your own skin. And yes, I think it's a bit of a transition up to the crone where you really don't give a flying flip-flop about anybody else. So yeah, absolutely. Renee likes the seasons. Yes, seasons of your life. See, it works with the word. Yes. Xenia, I think you've nailed it. Magrat, Nanny Og, and Granny Weatherwax. Again, if you've read Terry Pratchett's Discworld books, the witches ones, you will totally get that. If you haven't read them, why haven't you? Seriously, it should be required reading for everyone on the planet. Hi, Eve. Green. I love all the suggestions. A great exercise to get the energy rather than labels. That's it. Yes, it is about the energy. It's about the characteristics of those phases rather than the names. Yes, you could also lighten the moon. Absolutely. Well, we do with the triple moon sign, don't we? And that's what they reflect. They are reflective of different moon phases. So that works perfectly. Eve, I'm crone going grey naturally in purple. You are beautifully purple, Eve. Emma, I feel like I'm just starting in autumn. The seasons work well. Yeah, it does. It reflects it really well, doesn't it? Leslie Ann, I feel I'm a maiden at anything new. Mother when mentoring someone and crone when I've done it for years. Yes, can be all three at different things. Absolutely. That is what is the most important thing, is that you don't have to be a certain age and slot and not move. You can, all of the phases of the triple goddess or the quadruple goddess, whatever you work with, will come into play at any time. It's not a set thing. Heather, I feel that any time we spiral through the stages, yes, depending on what we're doing, studying, experience, not stuck in one, absolutely. Renee, yeah, he's a god as far as I'm concerned, Renee. Haley, I love the freedom I have now being older. Yeah, we change, don't we? We change ourselves with all of the phases. We do change. And I think it is important that you don't have to identify with one phase and stick with it. It doesn't have to be that whole linear thing. You can jump about whenever you feel the need. The energy of triple goddesses bring for us, it teaches us, it helps us, it supports us, it guides us in all those different phases. She's there when we need. She's there when we ask. And she'll come in the different forms. So, and you can call in the different forms as well, obviously. It's up to you if you want to call on her specifically in one of those phases, or whether you kind of just realize that you've come into that phase or you're working with that particular phase. There's no kind of written ruling to it. Let me just get through these and then we'll look at the history of it. Absolutely, Antoinette. We move through the archetypes depending on situations. We do. Willow Moon, you get grandmothers who act like mothers, who nurture with sensible rules. You get grandmothers who give children chocolate for breakfast and jump in bottles because they've moved to a new phase. The elder who lives slightly outside the rules and is given that authority. Same with goddesses. Yep, nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. Karen, I love the freedom of the crone age. No, don't give a flying flip-flop. And Eve loves retirement. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. So I learnt about the triple goddess right back, in the Stone Age when I started learning about witchcraft and about the whole idea of paganism. The triple goddess was one of the first things that came up in my learning. And I just assumed that it was ancient. It's not quite that straightforward. The modern belief, and following the trend, being Maiden Mother Crone, is usually attributed to an author, Robert Graves. I have also found some other tidbits from books and various more modern works. Moonchild, book written by Aleister Crowley, published 1929, and he refers to the triple goddess in the book. He describes her maiden, Artemis, Diana, Isis, then the lover, Persephone, and then the crone, Hecate. It was a slight, not perhaps quite the idea that we look at now that we're more familiar with, but he mentioned it, and that was in the 20s. Gerald Gardner makes a glancing mention of a triple goddess in his book, The Meaning of Witchcraft, which came out in 1959. He doesn't make much of it. He did write an essay entitled The Triad of the Goddess, although apparently there isn't any date on that one. In the essay, he writes of love, death, and rebirth as a triad, and he makes a comparison to both the Christian Trinity and also to the Hindu gods triad. So there is a kind of, there's triples wherever you look, really. So he'd drawn on that idea. Raymond Buckland makes a small reference to the triple goddess in his book, Buckland's Complete Book of Witchcraft, which was 1986. Doesn't mention it before then, as far as I'm aware, in any of his previous books. And although Robert Graves' book, The White Goddess, published 1948, it covers a lot of other subjects, but he does describe the triple goddess. He is often given credit for the maiden mother crone idea, but he uses other descriptions: maiden, nymph, and hag, mother, bride, and layer out, which I quite like. The pattern follows. The mother gives birth to the god of the year, and I'm reading this so that I get it right. The bride or the nymph takes a god as a consort, and his seeds are sown in her womb to create rebirth. The crone or layer out causes some mischief between twin gods, one slaying the other. The death then creates a sacrifice to the goddess, thus beginning the cycle of life once again. He actually includes information giving each of the goddesses a male counterpart as well. He also gives a suggestion of a quintuplet goddess: birth, initiation, consummation, repose, and death as the 5 stages, equating these to mother, maiden, bride, crone, and slayer. In his book, and I apologize for reading this, but I wouldn't remember it in my head, but I want to get the facts right. So in his book, The Golden Fleece from 1944, he refers to the goddess as maiden, nymph, and mother, reflecting the phases of the moon, new, full, and old. So there is, he's kind of the guy that's attributed to coming out with the modern idea of maiden, mother, crone. There are various other essays and bits and pieces by respected Wiccan people. Starhawk in 1979 uses the idea of maiden, mother, crone in her book Spiral Dance. She also suggests a 5-fold star: birth, initiation, ripening, reflection, death. Margot Adler in Drawing Down the Moon, published 1979, she covers maiden, mother, crone. So it is more of a modern idea. If you go back even further, way back now to, 4th century, that kind of thing, there are examples of triple goddesses of a kind, not the maiden, mother, crone idea. way back, there are suggestions, and there's some of them you could probably put in that, roughly in that kind of category, like the Fates, for instance. Do they fit the Maiden Mother Crone? Not really. I have included a list and various information in here, leaving it up to you to decide whether the historic ones are actually in the form of the triple goddess. It's up to you. I think you have to make your own decision on that one. Xenia says, wouldn't 4 goddess archetypes also make sense for the moon phases? Absolutely. Maiden waxing, mother full, matriarch waning, and crone dark moon. That is exactly how I personally work with them, Xenia. That's how I work with it. Oh, yes. Sorry. Jenny says you can hear the collective hissing of Hecate, which is when Hecate is referred to as purely a crone. Yes. And that I think that's where it gets interesting, isn't it? Because Hecate he calls her a crone, but in anything that I've read since then, she's not. So, yeah, it has to be very personal. I don't work with her personally, but I've read lots of bits and pieces about her. And no, I don't really see her as a crone, but he mentioned it, so it's in the book because he mentioned it. Luna says Kalak is a good. I hate saying the Kalak when I know that Leslie Ann's listening because my Scottish pronunciation of it is rubbish. Interesting. See, I never see her as the Maiden Mother Crone. In all of my research I've done on her, I only ever see her as the crone. But I think this is where it has to work for you personally. It has to be your own interpretation. And Trinette, this makes sense why many do not resonate with the triple hearing this is news. It is, that whole Maiden Mother Crone idea is more modern, but I think it works. And I think it is a really good basis to work with. It's good to work with the phases. Whether you fit whatever goddess is to it, up to you, really. I think you can call on her. You can call on her in any of the phases. Many reasons for doing so. You might choose a particular phase to ask her to help you the period in your life or an issue in your life that's happening. You might need to step back from working so hard and call out your inner child. So you would call on the Maiden Goddess for that. You might need some support in a family situation or an issue at home, then the mother aspect would be a good one to call on for that. If you've got a tough issue, decisions to make at work, perhaps you might benefit from the matriarch energy. Dealing with inner work, past life, something that you need to let go of, then, the crone might be the better one to work with. So you can choose who you call on for those spell work, that ritual work, that inner work, whatever it is that you need, you can pick and choose. Obviously, you can leave yourself open to whichever one comes to you as well. Let's just catch up with a couple of these. The Norns, Xenia said as well. Yes, they are. There are lots of sets. And of course, there are goddesses that have the 3 aspects all in the one goddess. So there is different ways of looking at it. Maria says the crone is often thought was a negative entity when I feel it may be my most positive. I think that is perhaps the whole Hollywood idea, isn't it? It is the whole wicked witch hag idea. We need to get rid of that, don't we? Willow Moon, we put titles on goddesses that we don't with the god. Interesting, isn't it? Yes, we do. Thor's a god of love, but we don't see him as a scantily dressed, sexy, and there to help you in relationships. But we often only that in Aphrodite. Yes, I know all of her, poses. Interesting, isn't it? You can look at the phases of the god as well. There is youth, warrior, sage, and various other variations. You can look at the gods in the same way. Jenny, 3 Mother Goddess stone sculpture in the Roman Baths Museum. I saw that recently. Sure, there was a plaque saying triple aspect was like an emphasis, like saying goddess, goddess, goddess. Yes, it's not a triple goddess. That one's not referred to as a triple goddess. It is interesting. There are quite a lot of that whole three mother goddess idea, particularly across Europe as well. It's interesting. I have been doing a lot of research on that. More to follow. But yes, I like it. It's like repeating, isn't it? Just to make the point. Maria, I've always thought of the Kalach as a creator rather than a crone. Well, yes, all of the stories of her tell that she created the landscape. But all of the research that I've done, all of the depictions, the images, she tends to be as a crone. But again, personal interpretation. But yes, absolutely creator, because she creates the landscape. Emma, there are some goddesses that appear in stories which appear in many different phases in life too to other people in those stories. Yeah, it is all a matter of interpretation. I love the three planes as the age, upper, middle, and underworlds. So the role of wisdom, upper, matron, the action, middle, and mother, and feelings under maiden. Yeah, that works too, doesn't it? The whole three worlds idea. Perfect. Perfect. Antoinette, I often wonder if Baba Yaga was just a young female choosing to live in solitude. I am totally jealous of her house, I have to say that. I want a house that's on chicken legs. But who knows? A lot of these stories and myths are just passed down by word of mouth, aren't they? So we don't really know. An awful lot. I've been doing a lot of research about British gods and goddesses. A lot of what we know from England in particular was written down by the Romans. So we only have their word to go on. They have lots of inscriptions, lots of statues, and like Jenny says, there's quite a lot of plaques at the Roman Bath Museum with various inscriptions and bits and pieces on. But they were written by the Romans. And a lot of our history as well was written by Christian monks. So some of it is open to interpretation, I think. And then, of course, a lot of the other gods and goddess stories, Ireland, Wales in particular, are from legends, verbal stories told, word of mouth kind of thing. So it's all interpretation, I think. Nikki says, maybe the crone is used as often not seen, invisible, and able to move about unseen. Nice, I like it. Yes, interesting. Ness is suggesting that I mention chicken legs on the house for the builders. We're having house renovations at the moment. I'll mention it tomorrow. We'll see where we go with it. Rhiannon, I don't know much at all about the Kalach. I'll have to do some research. There happens to be a Pagan Portals book on the Kalach, what I wrote. Rhiannon, if you have a look at the Moon Books Facebook page, you will find all the details. Maria, meditate to Mia. Do you know it's a good suggestion for all of them, isn't it? And I do include some meditations in the book. What I've actually done is I've got a lot of information in there, and then I split it into the Maiden, Mother, Matriarch, Crone sections. And for each of those sections, I work with the characteristics, the idea of what that phase is. I give you alternative name suggestions. I give you attributes and areas of magic that she can help you with. And then I will also give you a meditation to meet that particular phase. But what I've done is worked with modern ideas because I thought it needed bringing up today, really. So, the Maiden Goddess, you will meet in a cafe on her phone, drinking her latte. So I give you traditional ones as well. So I do give you traditional meditations as well. But I thought it was fun to actually work with the modern ideas. But I also give you herbs, plants, and foods to work with for each one. The correspondences, the moon phase, the season, directions, the elements. Because, of course, the four goddesses you can associate with the four elements as well. I give you crystals that are associated with each one as well. Just really, there's a ritual for each one as well, to meet each one and to work some magic with each one. You can pick and choose, you can work your way through them. I also give you suggestions for different goddesses that I associate with each phase as well, so that you can have a look from all various different pantheons. But I give you modern ideas as well. So for the mother, She runs her own florist shop. That's how you meet the Mother Goddess. The Crone Goddess is on a train going to lecture at a college. Now she's retired. There's little life stories in there. So it gives you kind of a bit more of a modern view on each of the phases of the goddess, but I also include ways of working with them in the more traditional idea as well. Just because I felt it needed to be brought up to date. I felt that it needed a more modern view, because, you know, life's quite a lot different now, and I think it needed to be brought up to date. So if we have a kind of quick look at the Maiden to start with, because, you know, why not? Bear in mind that she's usually thought of as a virgin, but the original meaning of the word virgin just literally meant someone who was free and not married. They didn't sort of test your history. And so it is just someone, and I think you have a young person, and I think you have to just kind of, if you want to see her as a fair maiden with flowers in her hair skipping through the fields, then you can. But if you want to see her as, you know, a teenager on her phone, walking home from school, carrying her books, then to me that works as well. You know, and I think you can associate it with your own life as well. My maiden was from the 80s in Marara skirts and my leg warmers, and I've never let go of that. I still have Marara skirts and leg warmers, so I still carry a bit of the maiden within me, and I call on her when I do need that kind of carefree energy. So she is youth, she is carefree, she is innocent, perhaps a little. She's got energy, she's got that beginnings, the freshness, an adventurer, even a bit naive perhaps, but she's got that kind of spirit. Maria's saying, I always think of Margaret. Yes, if Terry Pratchett nailed the witches, he really did. But she can help you with all kinds of magic as well. She can help you with that new beginnings. She can help you with enthusiasm and exploration, the anticipation for things, being carefree and bringing in that kind of childlike energy, playing, kind of just self-awareness as well, because that's when you're beginning to kind of work that as well. So you can, it is your inner child as well. So she's really good for working with that. If we leap quickly, obviously I'm skimming over it. The full information is in the book. The mother, for me, I came to motherhood quite late on, really. If you think about the mother, you can think about her in the kind of slightly plump, wearing an apron with flour from making bread. You know, terrible Mrs. Weasley from Harry Potter. There probably aren't many goddesses out there that actually wear aprons, but you never know. And just for reference, my mother is not like that at all. She is very smart and very fashionable, and still far more fashionable than me and well-dressed than me. So I think as well, there are different variations of it. So you can work with that kind of book mother idea if you want to. But as well, there are the working mothers, which, you know, I always was and I still am. It is quite stressful at times, busy, chaotic, but she does bring a nurturing energy to it. So forget the whole children aspect, because it's irrelevant, quite frankly. If you're going to be working with that mother phrase, you don't need to worry about that. She brings abundance, she brings caring, she brings discipline, fulfillment, she's giving, she brings guidance, harmony and happiness. Also brilliant for me for working with, for healing, I would go to the mother energy. For any marriage issues, for nurturing things, patience. I learned everything about patience from my mother phase. So I would go to the mother phase for working with patience. She is a protector as well, and responsibilities. I think the mother brings responsibilities to it as well. So she brings a whole lot of energies that don't have anything to do with the stereotypical idea of mother. So think of her as something else if you want to. Teacher, nurturer, provider. It's up to you, really. Put a name to it or don't. It's entirely up to you. Work with the actual energy of her. And then we have the matriarch or the queen that gets slotted into this stage. I think this is the autumn stage of your life. This is organization. This is achievements. It's authority. She brings confidence, control, a bit of dignity maybe, experience, definitely. There's that kind of maturity to it as well, and self-fulfillment. Travel, success, bit of wisdom thrown in there as well. She brings that whole kind of I know where I'm at kind of vibe. I'm working towards that. And most days I'm lucky if I remember what my name is, let alone where I'm at. But I'm working towards that whole kind of matriarch idea. But she's really good for bringing in all of those kinds of energies. And then on to the crone. She is the wise woman. She is the sage. Our ancestors would have revered the crone for her wisdom, for her knowledge, possibly even for the fact that she'd survived to old age, to be honest. I think pensioners perhaps now, generally in a lot of cultures, do kind of get a little bit forgotten, really, and not respected for what they've done or what they've achieved, for the knowledge that they've had. Although there are quite a lot of pensioners now that are riding their Harleys and taking holidays to the south of France. So, different views of different ideas of the crone. But she is the winter of life. She brings death, but rebirth. There has to be endings of things to have beginnings. She brings divination. She's really good for divination. If you want to work with divination, I always work with the crone. She brings the endings of things, the end of cycles. She is definitely experience. She is definitely guidance. She is justice. She's knowledge. She knows all the mysteries. Also really good for past lives and prophecy of any sort. I think she brings in protection as well. I think that's part of her thing. Retribution too, if you're entering into that side of things. And transformation. Definitely, if I'm working with any kind of transformation magic, then the crone is the one that I draw on, really. And understanding and truth as well, I would work with the crone for. She's the one that I would draw upon. So they all have their own different characteristics and personalities. That's just how it works for me, really. But they've got such a huge variety of stuff that you can draw on from each of them. Easier to visualize when the surroundings are familiar. Some people have trouble with fantastic places in the mind, can get lost in the detail building. Well, this is it for me. It was kind of I want to visit with one of these goddesses, but I don't want to go and stand in my mind in a Greek temple. Particularly for me, my pathway, I now really work with British goddesses. In fact, I only really work with English goddesses now. So to put in my head the idea of going to a Greek temple to visit a goddess didn't kind of fit. And I thought, no, this has to be more. There is a more modern way to it. And I work with the energy of the day and the energy of the place anyway. So it made sense to me to put a more modern twist on it. Emma says, Maiden's description reminds me of Fool in the tarot card. Yes, absolutely. Huge amounts of similarities between them. Willow Moon says, Mother aspect in a goddess makes me feel safe and nurtured. Wounds healed. Yeah, Mother would definitely be my go-to for any kind of healing magic. Sometimes you do just need that. Absolutely. Maria, sometimes it's how the Kalak makes me feel. No messing. Oh, the Kalak does not mess about. If you need your butt kicked, she is the one to do it. She's definitely the one to do it. The Kalak really kicks butt. I can speak from personal experience on that one. Karen, I feel that we carry all the phases with us. Oh, yes, absolutely. Including those we may not feel we have fully entered yet, but may experience some moments of. currently wanting to try to connect with my future crone for guidance on how to use my other phases and experiences to manage the now and progress forward. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. That would be absolutely brilliant. She will be able to guide you and help you. But you're right. We have all of those phases within us. Whoever we are, whatever we are, whatever we identify with, we all have those phases within us, and they all help guide and influence us along our pathways in good or bad ways. So it is about recognizing those and knowing how to work with them, really, to the best. But I think it is just throw those labels out, really, and make your own. You know, the goddesses, they are happy to be labelled with other things. They haven't found them argue about it yet. But as I say, the actual idea of Maiden Mother Crone is quite a modern one. So we can work with it and make it work for us. And I don't be guided by dates on calendars or ages or any situation that you're in. It's got to work for you. And if you want to work with the more modern situation of the goddess, you know, she's in all things, isn't she? We work with her every single day in a myriad of different ways. She's in everything. So why does she have to be in it as an ancient Greek in a toga? Surely she wears other things. That was my view on it anyway. That was the whole point of this, really, was to bring it up to being able for everyone to access in a modern way. For everyone. The goddess doesn't discriminate. She doesn't care what age you are, what shape you are, what, you know, TV programs you watch, whether you're a Star Wars or a Star Trek fan. She doesn't care. She'll work with you anyway in all of the phases, and she can provide support and guidance and anything that you need from her. If you're not sure which phase you need, ask. Whether it's do a spell, do a ritual, do a meditation to find which one comes to you. If you know where you're at or you know what energy you want, then ask for one specifically. I have given actual lists of particular goddesses for each phase, but I actually prefer to just call upon that aspect and see who comes. You might be surprised about who comes to find you, who comes to help you. You might not like what they hear. No, you might not like what you hear. What we need isn't always what we want. Yeah, that's the right way around. I have learnt that through experience, that what you think you should be doing isn't always what's the best thing for you. They'll be able to guide you on that. And you can call on them in all sorts of different formats and for all different things. Calling on the energy of a particular phase of goddess for your spell work for particular things works really well. But I would say it's relationships. Any goddess or god that you deal with is a relationship, and relationships take time, energy, effort, and input. So treat them like any other relationship. They take work to build up. They take work and effort and energy to make that kind of connection. So, you know, you do only get out of these things what you put into it. So that's my point of view anyway. So this is Pagan Portal's Triple Goddess. It is out the end of this month, available from all the usual suspects. The pre-orders have been phenomenal. You guys absolutely rock. So if you have already pre-ordered, thank you so much. Very much appreciated. If you haven't worked with the Triple Goddess, do give it a try, or Quadruple Goddess, or 5 of them, or 6 of them, or however many you want in the band. It will help you on your journey, absolutely. It's a personal journey. You've got the power to make it your own, but these gals can really, really help you on the way. So I'll run through the chapters very quickly so that you know what's in the book. I have put a bit on how to work with the book. I have given my important thoughts, which basically covers not being limited by labels, that the goddess is for everyone. I've also given a bit of description about the different threes, trinities and triplets and things. And there's a little bit of a definition about what deity is as well. But then there's the triple goddess, and I deal with her modern history. Then I go back a little bit further. Then I talk about the fourth, slotting the fourth in, and then the rest of the band, slotting even more in. A little bit about the triple goddess symbol, the moon symbol. And the number 3, because of course the number 3 is magical as well. That brings its own magic to it. I also give you a little bit of guidance on how to make a connection with them. And then I deal with the triple goddesses and working with them, calling upon them, the maiden, the mother, the matriarch, the crone. And I also deal a little bit with the goddesses throughout the seasons and working with them in that spring, summer, autumn, winter situation. There's several meditations in there as well. So it's a nice, gentle read. It's not a heavy read, but there's a lot of information in there. Hopefully you will find it as helpful as I do. It is one of my favourite areas of paganism to work with. I think working with these different phases is just so insightful and fascinating as well. Willow Moon says, I came across Melusine, her name called out in the calling down the moon. Something resonated and now I'm looking for her. Sometimes you get a gentle nudge. Absolutely. And I have ignored the nudges in the past until they've been shouting at me in my ear. So yes, do listen out. Yes, Melusine also links with Starbucks. The mermaidy type image on the Starbucks cup is actually the goddess Melusine. Karen's talking about cake, I think. Yes. Karen, you never let me down. An example of the presence of the goddess in cake baking, the wisdom that knows how to adjust the ingredients from intuition experience, the nurturing to make something that will feed and satisfy, and the fun and carefree adding of extra chocolate sprinkles. You can never have too many chocolate sprinkles. Karen, you have absolutely nailed that on the head, and that is a perfect way to sum up the end of it, the triple goddess. So thank you for that. That must have been the force that helped you with that one. So summing up brilliantly, the triple goddess. Have a look at the Moonbooks website. Have a look at my own website. There's details on there. But the book's available from all the usual suspects in the paperback form and as an ebook as well. Any questions? Obviously, I'm always available. Just message me. Always happy to help. It's just a fascinating subject. And if you've looked at it before and dismissed it, do try it from a modern point of view as well. I don't think you'll be disappointed. Give it a whirl, really. And if you are interested in any particular gods and goddesses or pathways, do have a look at the Pagan Portals series as well. There's a huge amount of different books in there by different authors, all on the Moonbooks website. Fascinating subjects. So thank you, everyone, for joining me. Triple Goddess, Pagan Portals. Have a look on my YouTube channel and the Moonbooks YouTube channel as well. There's lots of free talks by myself and other Moonbooks authors that are worth a listen as well. So thank you, everyone, as always. Thank you to everyone that's already pre-ordered it. The sales are phenomenal already. Big, virtual cake, the whole lot to everyone. And thank you for joining me today. It has, as always, been an absolute pleasure. The Triple Goddess. I didn't give a book away, did I? Thank you. It's just reminded me. Didn't give a book away. I kept you all waiting till the end, didn't I? Sorry about that. I'm just going to scroll up through the comments and pick one randomly. When my scrolly thing stops, I shall Willow Moon. Willow Moon. I just picked that one out there. Look, it stopped on that. Willow Moon, message me with your address. Send me your address via private message, and I will send you a copy of the book, a signed copy of the book. Just send me a address via private message. I've got another one here as well. Shall I give out another one as well? Because I'm like that. That's the back. Holding it out the wrong way. I get so carried away with waffling that I forget about these things. So I'm skimming. Karen, send me your message as well. Send me your address via private message, and I will send you a signed copy of the book. So there's 2 copies going out. Thank you to my husband for reminding me to give away the copies. Karen Trippier, because a few Karen. Sorry about that. Send me your Willow Moon and Karen Trippier. Send me your addresses, and I will pop signed copies of the book in the post to you. Thank you, everyone. You guys are absolutely fantastic, as always, for joining me. Take care, everyone, and triple goddess blessings to you all. Bye now.